Welcome to Prognosis, the most cost-effective, comprehensive EMR system for your orthopedic practice today. In today's busy office, you're overwhelmed with information and you want to be able to see what the most critical data is at the appropriate time. Notice here I've logged in as Dr. Marcus Welby. I'm looking at my home page. In the left-hand side, I can see my nice summary of my inbox divided up into to-do items, telephone messages my staff have taken, regular messages, and then the system will also generate messages based on radiology results that have come back, lab results, documents that have been scanned into the patient's chart that I need to approve. So I can come in here, I can reply to messages, approve results, delegate follow-up, etc. Down here, driven off the appointment schedule, I can see the patients that are coming in to see me, the reason they're coming in, and a nice continuously changing status. As I look over here on the right-hand side, I can see when a patient has checked in at the front desk. The front desk has marked them as arrived. I can see what room number they're being taken to, or perhaps my MA is currently with a patient. It will automatically update the status because it knows the MA is accessing this patient's chart at that moment. As I complete my visit with a patient and sign off their chart, it'll say complete. So, if by the end of the day each of these could say complete, that would be the most ideal situation. However, that's not always realistic, so you can always refer to your Open Encounter tab to see all your work in process. These are all the charts that I have opened, but that I have not signed off, and they could be from earlier today, they could be from yesterday. I can go back to them, finish what I was doing, and when I sign off their chart, they'll be removed from this Open Encounter list. Obviously, it's in my interest to keep this list as short as possible because these items are not getting billed, whereas the items that I have completed and signed off, those have already gone over to the billing department for billing. Other items of interest on this page are these buttons that are up at the upper right area. This first one here is my ARA dashboard. Lets me see at a quick glance how I'm doing in terms of our meaningful use requirements and how are we doing in terms of keeping up with all of the measures that are required. So this gives me a nice summary of the practice as a whole, but I can also get a similar kind of dashboard for the individual patients that I'm working on. If I'm ready to start working on a patient, perhaps a patient who has been here before, I just simply click on the patient's name. Jack Hollister is in room 11 with the medical assistant. As I come in here, I come to a nice, very customizable clinical face sheet. Everything at a glance, I can see his past medical history, his past surgeries, current medications, allergies with reactions, social history, family history, etc. The yellow background indicates anything that was here prior to today's visit, but anything with a greenish blue background means it's something that has changed today. And I can come into any of these windows in more detail. Most of this information would have been taken by the MA the first time, and it can also be taken right in from the patient portal if the patient has filled out their forms online. To begin our encounter with this patient, I can look at my nice customizable workflow list on the left-hand side. I'm going to just take a quick look at the vital signs the medical assistant has taken. I can very easily see that information here. If I'm interested in just taking a quick look at the history, seeing how those vitals may have changed over time, I can easily notice that, trend it. I can go anywhere I want to in the list on the left-hand side if I wanted to go do a radiology order or give the patient a prescription, but I can also just simply follow these green arrows. I have a workflow arrow down at the bottom right, says HPI. Takes me to our history of present illness where it pops up a list of the most common reasons that patients come to see you. I can see off to the left here the reason why the appointment was made. So I can just start to type whatever the particular complaint is. So the patient could have multiple complaints and the system gives me a very nice way to document each of those items separately. Whichever complaint is highlighted on the left-hand side, I can see the questions on the right. And I can use these excellent templates, or I can simply come right down to the bottom and I can use my handwriting recognition on a tablet. I can use Dragon Medically Speaking, or of course I can type as I'm doing here. However, the templates are very good and I can very nicely document exactly what the situation is with this particular complaint. Notice they can be drop downs, and this is also very easily customized. If I decide I need to customize something, I can just do it just simply by double-clicking on the question. I can add anything to any of these lists, or I can add new whole questions to a template, or I can even create my own template. As I choose the other complaint, the shoulder injury on the left-hand side, then you'll notice that I have a totally different set of questions. I can always check everything off very quickly with the defaults, and then of course I can mark any specific things for this particular problem. If I'm done with this, then you'll see I can simply use my next little arrow at the bottom right for the review of systems. The patient can have filled out the review of systems online, but if I come in here, I can check everything very quickly, or I can come down one organ system at a time, and I can easily mark any abnormalities. Notice as I click on the left-hand side, I see the organ system to the right. If I choose a problem the patient tells me about, I can always put in any comments to the right using these comment areas, but I can also jump into my favorite phrases using little binoculars. And easy for me to add any new phrases as I want to. Saves me typing. If I'm done with the review of systems, then I can simply use the next green arrow pointing me onto my physical exam. The system will pull up the appropriate physical exam for me, but if I like, I can always choose from my list of different exams depending on the complaint. Notice here I can check everything very quickly with the defaults. And then of course I can come down and make any changes if there's anything out of the ordinary. I have quick access to my diagrams. If I decide I'd like to annotate something diagrammatically, I can pull up the appropriate part of the anatomy. And using my customized icons along the top, I can indicate, for example, where the patient is having pain as we are examining them. Notice to the right, it creates nice areas where I can put in any comments. And I can choose multiple diagrams if I like. At any point, I can view the progress note that has been getting created as we've been going along. Based on the point and click, it creates good sentences, but I of course could have also used Dragon Medically Speaking or handwriting recognition. It also brings in all of the patient's past medical history. We can see the review of systems, anything in red, the positives, and then of course as I come down to my physical exam and perhaps my diagrams as well. If I would like to do some assessment notes for the patient, I can see that the system has chosen some likely ICDs based on the complaint that the patient came in for. I can stay with these, or I could jump into my preferred ICDs and choose an alternate code. Very easy to get from my preferred ICDs to the entire ICD-9 database just simply by choosing the book in the upper left. And you can search by description or by code. To do my assessment plan, if I want to break these out separately, whichever one I have highlighted as I fill in the boxes to the right, that's a nice way to divide up my assessment plan, or I can do an overall assessment plan. I can of course also jump into my favorite phrases. So it could be that under distal radius fracture I have some specific things, and you'll see that these can represent very large, long paragraphs, and I might want to choose two of these items. And I could do a separate one for the clavicle as well. At the bottom I can use these buttons to go ahead and get a prescription started, a lab ordered, a radiology ordered, or a consult. For follow-up, I can let the staff at the front desk know that this patient should come back to see us in 1 week. The reason why: we want to review their imaging. This will go as a pop-up message to the front desk, so by the time the patient gets up there, they are already aware of what appointment needs to be made. As we are completing our encounter with this patient, we may want to use our E&M calculator to see what we can code for. And we can see here that it pulls up the appropriate types of codes depending on today's visit, and it's keeping a tally under the HPI, the review of systems in the physical, that we've been covering as we have been doing this visit. It's just up to me now to make a subjective decision. Was this minimal, straightforward, low complexity, moderate complexity? Based on that, the system tells me what I can code for and what I'm missing to get to the next level. So it highlights for me. I can go ahead and confirm that. I can override it, or I could indicate we actually ended up spending more time with the patient. And this will document that I spent 45 minutes with the patient, and it bumps me up to the next level automatically. E-prescribing is also built into the system. If the patient has been here before, I can send this directly to their pharmacy. Of course, if we've never seen them before, we can tag them with their preferred pharmacy. Instantly jumping into a database of all the pharmacies across the country, we can choose their specific preferred pharmacy. And we can indicate what medication that we would like to give that patient. And it'll know your preferences for number of days, frequency. We can pull up any information about that medication, print it off for them, along with any educational items. And from here, I can hit my ERX button to transmit it directly to the pharmacy, or I can simply print it out and give it to the patient if I need to. As we proceed on to our Encounter Close screen, we can see a nice summary of what we've done today. We have our follow-up in 1 week to review imaging, and if we're complete, we just mark the encounter complete and move on. As we come back to our home page, we can see that Jack Hollister is now complete, and we would move on to our next patient. Everything that you see here, of course, I'm taking the scenic tour, so you would go right to the items that you need to do on a day-to-day basis. The system is extremely intuitive, and now your charges have gone over to the practice management side.